Okay, this is a story that's going to affect the whole data center business, all of AI, OpenAI and SoftBank specifically here. This is about a data center that's trying to be a local community, Lordstown, and this is a project, Stargate Center is trying to shut down. And let me just play the story here for you.
Down continues.
Yeah, developers for a proposed data center in the village have taken their issues to the Ohio Supreme Court.
In a filing this week, developers are claiming the village is violating laws and refusing to review their site plans. But the village says that's not true.
Gina Cadigan has more on how this could impact that proposed data center.
Developers for a proposed data center in Lordstown are taking their concerns to the Ohio Supreme Court, saying the village isn't letting their plans move forward. Attorneys representing the company Bristolville claim the village is refusing to accept or review their site plan application submitted last month. The village solicitor says engineers can't do a full review because they're missing information.
We have no idea what their stormwater management plans are. We have no idea what their utility information is. One of their buildings is located on top of one of our water lines, which can't happen.
The attorneys for the developer believe they don't need to provide that information because they're in step 1 of the process, and that's only required for step 2.
From where we sit, it looks like the village is just changing its zoning permitting process on the fly.
The village solicitor and Lordstown Mayor Jackie Woodward both told 21 News they will review the plans if that additional information is provided. No construction on the site can happen until it's looked at and a permit is issued. The lawsuit does not address the village's recent vote to ban data centers altogether, but it's a subject that's bound to have both sides clash again if the application gets reviewed.
Well, that's going to be a legal question that the courts may have to determine, and it's not a legal question that should be addressed in this current lawsuit that's been filed.
So Bristolville is obviously not walking away from Lordstown. So we believe the region provides, the needed elements for long-term investment and a project of this scale.
Developers have requested to meet with the village privately sometime next week. The village solicitor says they will not be responding to the lawsuit and will let the matter proceed to the courts. With more local news, I'm Gina Cadigan.
Okay, this is the second story on this topic. This is a data center. This represents one of 5 Stargate projects. I'm going to play a clip from another video here in a minute. This is a data center that could represent 5% of NVIDIA's production next year for high-end graphics cards. This is to be one of the experimental high-end Stargate projects. Again, 20% of Project Stargate. This is a big deal. What has happened? Let me just recap. This company, Bristol LLC, along with Foxconn, kind of sneakily snuck in this data center and misrepresented themselves. I'm putting that in there. It appeared as though they misrepresented themselves. Certainly in the press, they hid the identity of the true developers here. Anyway, they filed for this project on this old GM plant, Lordstown Motors plant, a 6 million square foot plant, and this site is planned for a greenfield, an open area on that piece of real estate. They filed the permits shortly after the city council found out who the actual owners are and what the plans for the property was. The city council of Lordstown passed a city ordinance banning all data centers and crypto mining centers from Lordstown. Okay? And they did not specify this project. This is a blanket law they made saying we don't want them. They're not allowed in this area. The Bristol LLC, who is the attorney for the other side here, the Stargate, OpenAI, SoftBank, said, well, they're not reviewing our applications for permits. So this initial lawsuit here is regarding the city. At first, their first statement of Lordstown was, there's a ban on all projects. We don't need to review anything. It's moot because the project overall is not allowed. LLC, Bristol LLC, which is OpenAI, said, wait a minute, we have permits filed. So Lordstown has changed its position now, and their attorney, their solicitor here, was mentioning that there are reasons why they aren't going to consider the permit because it wasn't filed appropriately and so forth. LLC has said there's reasons for that, so they're going to take this to the Ohio Supreme Court. This is the preamble, okay? Whether or not they get this zoning permit, well, if they get this zoning permit approved, is probably better for Bristol LLC and against the city. However, they're going to the Ohio Supreme Court on this because, of course, the city, Lordstown, is opposing this. Now, here's the thing. That's not the main case. This is the preamble, and this is going to Ohio Supreme Court, and I think whoever loses is going to appeal this to the Circuit Court or the Supreme Court eventually. What the rub here is that this city, after finding out who this entity was, what they were going to build there, how it would impact the power and water prices they are paying, and before any permits were approved, passed a law banning all data centers. Now that is going to be the lawsuit. If that is passed, then this is going to be appealed, I think, probably to the Supreme Court, and that is going to allow any city or municipality or whatever entity to put in place a law banning these data centers, even if they're underway. And this is going to dead stop all the development, or it's going to enable cities, if it's passed in Lordstown's favor, even after the project starts, after they find out who's doing it, to pass a law banning data centers. So I think this coming out on, this was a couple days ago, but I put this video out on NVIDIA earnings day because this is really, in my mind, absolutely no one is reporting on this. But this is setting up a legal framework for whose rights prevail in the siting and building of future AI data centers. And as you know, a lot of citizens are complaining now about a rise in noise, a rise in light pollution, a quantum leap in electric and water bills. And anyway, as I said, I think that this could, if this goes Lordstown, the village's way, it could, and I do believe this will go to the Supreme Court, perhaps both of these cases will, it could throw a monkey wrench and give communities a great amount of power in stopping these projects. Even, once they discover what they are, if they were in Lordstown's place, and you can comment if you're an attorney, I believe this is going to allow them to cancel the project even after it's underway. Let me know in the comments. I'm going to see now if I can put the preamble to this to give you some context for this video. Okay, here's my previous video on this topic. Let me switch to this video to give you some context. And again, I think this is critical.
Okay, here we go. This is the big news. This is going to rattle. This may be Burry's reason for the big short on NVIDIA. Let me play this video. This is from a locality where a Stargate project was just canceled by the village council.
A big decision in Lordstown tonight. Good evening. I'm Lindsay Watson. After weeks of debate, Village Council took a final vote on whether to ban AI data centers within the village limits. First News reporter Alex Imwali was at tonight's meeting. He has our top story tonight at 11.
Motion is carried to adopt Ordinance 57-2025.
The Lordstown Village Council approved an ordinance to ban data centers in the village with a 6-0 vote Monday night.
It's for the reason the health, safety, and welfare of our village. This thing is something that I don't think is appropriate for us, and that is what I've been told by our residents, and I stand by that.
This was the third reading of the ordinance over the course of the last month. In the meeting, residents expressed concern that a data center would use too much of the village's energy and water, raise bill payments, and cause a number of other complications.
If you're in favor of a ban on these data centers, please raise your hand so they can see. And look them in the eye and let them know, because they're going to vote tonight.
Late last month, Bristolville 25 Developer LLC sent a proposed plan for a new data center in Lordstown to the council. Now, a lawyer representing the company says...
I just want to pause this for a second. That was the town council. That's probably 10% of the population there. This is a small village in northeastern Ohio. I have a presentation coming up on this next, but these are, these are the folk. These are the, this is a small population, a village. This is the Snidely Whiplash OpenAI SoftBank attorney who represents this LLC, which is this flim-flam entity they created to hide this project. And I go over this in the presentation to follow. Watch of that. But then, look at this guy. Evil. The nice townspeople. Evil personified here.
The council didn't follow the correct procedure to approve a zoning ordinance.
The statute requires 30 days notice and a public hearing. That means 30 days from now, theoretically providing notice at some point in the future, 30.
Yeah, that's because they've already broken ground and they're already starting to put this thing together. They want as much time, move fast and break things. Don't ask for permission, apologize.
Days from then, you hold your public hearing, and then council can proceed to act on whatever zoning ordinance is in front of it. Obviously, that process wasn't followed here.
But Councilwoman Jessica Blank says this isn't a zoning ordinance.
We followed our advice of our solicitor, and to us, it wasn't a zoning issue. It's more of an industry ban issue. We're banning the industry of data centers in the village.
The ordinance will block data centers like the one proposed by Bristolville 25 Developer LLC. The legal team representing the developer says it will work with its client to weigh its options with a proposed plan going forward. In Lordstown, Alex Imwali, WKBN 27 First News.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. This, I think, might be part of the motivation for Burry Short on NVIDIA. I think that there is a possibility here that this may be part of it. And anyway, I just want to share this with you, and let's get to the presentation. Okay, this is the start of the presentation with some data regarding this event. And just to give some perspective, the Lordstown, Ohio Stargate canceled. Is it time to short NVIDIA or any of these other stocks? We all know who they are. And I think a lot of them dropped today. Okay, we're just going to pause that. I'm going to put a link in the top of this window here. There's a full report on the effect of this, the cancellation of this project on NVIDIA's stock. In this report, in this presentation, I'll put a link at the end of the video and in the description to this video. The point being, this could represent 5% of NVIDIA's projected sales next year. Okay, which I'm sure they could sop up in other places, but the point is, this could set a legal precedent, allowing communities to ban outright data centers, number one. Number two,
should these cases resolve in Lordstown Village's favor, it will allow a community to ban a data center that has broken ground on construction, which these guys have. And obviously, I think this Bristol LLC, they're talking about, well, we haven't had the zoning meeting, we haven't had the permitting meeting. They are breaking ground. They have already broken ground on this project. So I don't know if that's contributory negligence or not, but they certainly are violating good faith with the zoning practices because they are not, they're breaking ground without having the approval. But this is just phase one, is this fight over the zoning. Bristol LLC, which is OpenAI and SoftBank, are taking this to the Ohio Supreme Court. Initially, Bristol LLC, which is OpenAI, was going to challenge their initial outright ban. Now they have backpedaled and they've decided to fight the fight on this zoning issue. In my mind, I think that, how is the court going to land? How is the Supreme Court going to land? I think the private property holders have the upper hand here myself. But this is MXUX. I think this is very, very important regarding especially NVIDIA stock. I said in my original video, is this the reason that Michael Burry is shorting NVIDIA? Because of all the hurdles, if this legal precedent is set, then there's going to be trouble for NVIDIA sales unless they open up to China, which the Trump administration does not want to do. We're going to see how NVIDIA earnings are coming out right now. Again, I think this is a very important story regarding NVIDIA stock and the AI sector, okay? Certainly, this has, to my mind, has not been addressed by any court in the country. This is MXUX. Watch for the links in the description to see the full information on this. Thanks so much.